This isn't the time for hesitation. It's the time for faith. Come, let us show him together.
Hello and welcome to session 13 of my Pillars of Eternity Deadfire Lorethrough. We are currently at the top of the Hasongo Lighthouse. Last session we visited Hasongo. We found out that Naga had kind of overtaken it and were terrorizing some of the people that lived here, including Royal Deadfire Company and Huana farmers. And we fought some of them, but when we got to the top of the lighthouse, we found that they were angry that the Adra here, that you see glowing now, you see is luminous now, was not. It lost its luster. But we were able to commune with it and commune once more with Aethys. And after that, it restored its luminosity, and the Naga left us alone. They actually gave us something, so they appreciated what we did for them. Once again, we find that Aethys is making his way across the Deadfire Archipelago. We are unsure exactly what his final destination is at this point, but we do know that he is headed for Mogren's Teeth in Ashen Maw. I'm sorry, it's Ashen Maw in Mogren's Teeth. Mogren's Teeth is a chain of volcanoes, and Ashen Maw must be the name of a place there. So that's the next thing that we have to do for the critical path, although you see it's 3 levels above us right now, so we'll be doing some other things today. We won't be doing the critical path today. But I wanted to start today, rather than reading from the history in the guidebook, I wanted to read a little bit about the Steel Garrote, the order of paladins that Inquisitor Ludwine belongs to. Ludwine is important just because we met her last session. She was the head of an order of an order of Steel Garrote there who put Oswald on trial for breaking an oath, and they were going to kill him, but we intervened and killed all of them instead. Inquisitor Ludwine is also going to be in Avowed. We know that for sure. We don't know much about what her role is there, but in the story trailer, they said something about there were 3 different people who had different ideas on what we needed to do with what's called the Dream Scourge Plague in the Living Lands. And Ludwine was one of us that told it that basically we should let it run its course and fight it, and whoever is still alive at the end will be stronger for it, which is very Woodican of her. The Steel Garrote is a Woodican order of paladins, but I wanted to read a little bit about the order of paladins here, the Steel Garrote, because, well, I think it's relevant to Avowed, which is not yet out. It's relevant to this playthrough because we just ran into Inquisitor Ludwine, and I don't think there's much in the guidebooks about the paladins, so I had to look this up on the Pillars of Eternity wiki. And I think a good chunk of this is actually based on a tweet from Josh Sawyer. It's now archived, so I was having trouble actually seeing the tweet. Like, I could see the thumbnail of it, but I couldn't actually read what was being said there. So I had to just take this right from the wiki. So this is the Steel Garrote Paladin Order. Is a feared paladin order dedicated to Woodica. They work with powerful individuals and business interests to hunt down those who violate contracts, especially if said contracts were endorsed by a priestess of the exiled queen. They were founded in the Eder Empire and are active throughout it. They also operate in its former colonies, the Deerwood and the Valian Republics. We obviously just saw them in the Deadfire. They were tracking down Oswald, who is a Deeran and did break an oath, and they were even talking about that. I mentioned at the time that it seemed like an extreme punishment for breaking an oath, but that is very Steel Garrote of them. They think that breaking an oath is like the worst thing that you can do, and you deserve death if that happens. This next section is titled, Think Upon Your Promises and Die, the Litany of the Steel Garrote. And I believe this is the part that Josh Sawyer, who was I believe he's the game director of this game, or creative director. I should have probably looked that up, but I didn't. But he is a very important person in this game and at Obsidian in general. Ideally employed for those who have broken oaths, paladins of the Steel Garrote have been known to use this litany against a wide variety of opponents when they feel it is appropriate. While it works perfectly on a battlefield, the Order prefers for it to be used from stealth, so the victim hears the words of the litany just before Garrote tightens around their neck. The... is it hagiography? Hagiography? In the Church of Whitaker tells us of Unfric Calisair, an Ederan paladin who took vengeance upon the infamous traitor to the imperial crown, Malden Gower. Malden had survived many attempts on his life before he escaped the safety of Grand Valia, where he believed he could not be touched. When Unfric finally penetrated Malden's defenses, he spoke the litany and slipped the garrote around his neck, but his quarry proved tough to kill. Unfric repeated the litany, and still Malden would not succumb, but stumbled to the parapet of his tower overlooking a rocky seashore below. Guards rushed to Malden's aid and were only moments away from pulling Unfric off his victim. Unfric refused to allow Malden to escape Whitaker's justice. He leapt over the parapet, pulling Malden over the edge by his neck. As their bodies plummeted towards the rocks, the guards swore they heard Unfric repeat the litany a third time, refusing to let go or prepare his body for the impact. Though a search party did recover Malden's body, Unfric's was never found. The Ederan Church of Whitaker concluded that their queen had transported his body out of the physical world. In recognition of his dedication and martyrdom, they canonized him as Saint Unfric of the Three Maledictions, a patron often invoked by the paladins of the Steel Garrote. So that is a little bit of history of the Steel Garrote there. And there's a couple words that I actually wanted to look up. First is hagiography, which is the writing of the lives of saints. Okay, so it was basically stories, and because Unfric was deemed a saint after he killed himself while murdering Malden, this would be the story of a saint. So that is what hagiography means. Oh, you know what? I should have also looked. I think it's hagiography. No. Hagiography. I think so. Hagiography. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. I also wanted to look up Garrote. Garrote is to kill someone by strangulation, typically with an iron collar or length of wire or cord. That's kind of what I thought it was, but I just wanted to double check. And finally, I wanted to look up litany, because why not? Litany is a series of petitions for use in church services or processions, usually recited by the clergy and responded to in a recurring formula by the people. And that's what we saw with Unfric. He was repeating that litany over and over again. They wanted to try to do this from stealth. They didn't say it right before execution. They would say it from stealth, so it was the last words the person heard before they died. But Malden himself didn't actually repent his sins at all, and Unfric toppled over a building with him, killing both of them. And Whitaker may have lionized Unfric by allowing him a place in the beyond and took his body away. The litany, once again, is think upon your promises and die, which he said 3 times to Malden before both of them were killed. So that's it for the Steel Garrote. I think they are a really interesting paladin order, and it's something I haven't looked into too much here. I haven't played paladins. I believe that you can choose an order to belong to if you pick a paladin. I know that Steel Garrote is a passive skill in this game that returns 15% of damage dealt as healing to you. I don't know if that's always the paladin skill or if there are different paladin skills depending on the order you belong to. But that's just a little bit about the Steel Garrote. So let's join us, Bearn, again at the top of the Hasongo lighthouse. We have restored the luminous Adra, so let's go see what the people here have to say about us letting the Naga go. Hopefully they're okay with it, but you never know. This is a concussion bomb. And we see here a little bit about how the lighthouse works. It's kind of channeling that luminous Adra, and then it beams a light to ships to make sure they don't crash into the shore. We have a little cat here.
Of course.
Corlagon. Korlagan gives us plus 5% damage from area of effect attacks. And that's it up here. What does Coral Naga Totem do? We can't find out. See the Naga leaving?
Don't let the door hit your scaly behinds on the way out.
That was Shodi there. Which is a weird thing to say after we just talked to them.
You were gabbing with my god again, weren't you?
I was rather hoping someone else would bring that up. If you got something to tell us...
I'll say it's strange, feeling part of my soul in the body of a god. Shodi frowns thoughtfully.
Well, where's my god headed now?
This is the honest response here. He's going to Magrin's Teeth. Does that sound dangerous to you? Because it sounds dangerous to me.
Chasing a god's dangerous enough on its own. Why worry about other details?
Okay. What all this rubble's doing here? There was a cannon that we could have fixed and fired at the group of Naga here if we decided to take that route. I wonder if that would have killed this rubble. Oh, we can attack it. Nope, we can't. Actually, let's see, maybe
Yes?
we can actually throw a bomb at it. Nope, it's immune.
Indeed.
Guess we're taking the long way around. Still have to talk to... Is it Alava? Who is Eder's former lover. I believe it was Alava. Yes, Alava and Hasongo. So you have to find her, or her son, or somebody that knows where they are. Oh, you know what? I think there were some things that we didn't get a chance to loot over here. Oh yeah, these shells of bodies.
Scale-bellied cowards! I knew they'd run! Look at our beacon. Even the Colossus couldn't destroy it. And those snakes aren't so tough now, are they?
She looks up at the lighthouse, giddy with relief. Everybody's acting like we attacked all the Naga. I mean, I guess we killed some of them. You underestimated the dangers here before. It would be unwise to do so again.
Of course.
She nods, but she's still staring up the lighthouse.
We'll rebuild bigger and better, with reinforced walls and extra cannons. Our engineers will make this place truly impregnable.
She finally turns to you.
The Hansanui will want to thank you personally for your help here. And she should also know what we're up against.
She eyes the dawn stars and the craterous footprint. And I feel like I shouldn't point this out, but I'm going to anyway. Just more proof that the actors probably weren't coached on how to pronounce some of these words. She added a letter to Hasongo and said Hansanui. I think it's natural to do that and just wanted to point it out. I'm going to say, actually, I'm headed to Maugren's Teeth.
Looking for a real challenge after what you did to those scale bellies?
She laughs, a brittle edge creeping back into her voice.
The only thing I know about the place is it's supposedly made of fire, and no one's ever come back from it.
She swallows, fear making hollows of her eyes.
But anything can be overcome.
She smiles grimly. Where can I find the Hasongo?
She's usually at the Brass Citadel in Neketaka, though she gets called to the palace often, haggling with the Queen and the Valians.
Farewell.
Clear skies.
She crosses her forearms over her chest. Got some Rauataian soldiers over here. So we obviously knew where the Hasongo was. We've talked to her before, so we got some farmers. And this is a named person. Bearn.
Light of Aethys be upon you, neighbor. Are you looking for survivors?
Unlike the other survivors you've seen, this young man, despite a haggard look to a set of dirt-smeared, tattered clothes, wears a calm face and speaks with a steady voice. Yes, actually, my friend is looking for someone we were told might live around here.
Short lady, about my age, came from Deerwood with her son. Let's see, freckles, braids usually. Punches you in the arm if she likes you, face if not. Oh, and that's if you're lucky.
No, that doesn't sound like anyone.
The young man's face remains smooth, betraying neither surprise nor interest. We're in the right place. You must know her. She has a son about your age.
You gotta be her son. Got her nose and her freckles. You don't have to lie to me, kid. I'm a friend of your mother's. She hiding from someone? Maybe an ex-lover who gave her the best night of her life?
You're protecting her. We understand.
No, I misspoke.
So this is Lava's son, and Eder wonders if maybe it's his son.
Forget it. Just tell me something. Your father, you know him?
I'm sorry, who are you?
Like Eder said. I'm gonna say, relax. Eder's a good man, likes animals.
Lions, bats, and orlins, to name a few.
Orlins aren't animals, Eder. Jeez. Bearn nods without a hint of humor or personality.
Yes, I knew my father when I was very young. He was a man of strong faith.
Have to be. You get a lava mad, you need a god on your side for protection.
He was lost to us during the Purges, which was how we came to flee here.
It's a new one, I think. The Purges. In the wake of Saints' War, Deerwooden mobs, particularly in rural areas, sought to kill all followers of Aethys, beginning in the town of Coldmorn, which was said to have permitted Widewind's forces to pass through without resistance. Aethasians were hunted down, tortured, and murdered in the streets. This is a little bit of lore here, actually. The Saints' War, I've talked about before, is when Aethys inhabited the body of a man named Widewyn. He's been known now as Saint Widewyn, was eventually killed by the Godhammer bomb. But after this, in Deerwood, worshippers of Aethys, because of what he did, were hunted down and executed, basically. And this town of Coldmourn was, as it says here, that was said to have permitted Widewyn's forces to pass through without resistance. We found out what the actual story was in the last game with the character, the Devil of Karak, who was a companion you could recruit in the White March expansion. She was an automaton who had been taken over the soul of someone whose entire family was killed in Coldmourn. I want to say basically they were scared they were going to be killed if they didn't let these people through, so they let them through. They weren't fighters, they were just people who wanted to live their lives, and they let Widewyn's forces through. However, they were thought of traitors because of that. So we see a couple things here. One, the distortion of facts by people who get to tell the story afterwards. In other words, history is written by the victors. The victors here were the Deerwoodens, which means they got to tell the story about what they did with Coldmourn and what Coldmourn allowed Widewyn's forces to do. But we saw someone from Coldmourn and their actual point of view, and we found out that that wasn't exactly true. We also see here the complete lack of ability to see shades of gray in this fight here. You either fought with us or you were against us, and if you let Widewyn's troops come through your town, then you are the enemy and you deserve to be killed. I don't know who gave that order, but it's a very indicative of the way winners often react, and how so-called traitors are dealt with, and they don't really get to stand up for themselves. And these are those purges here. That's what he's talking about. I don't know if I've ever heard it called the Purges before. Maybe, but I forget if I did.
So you met him?
Bearn nods slowly.
Well, that's great. You had a dad.
A moment passes, with Eder staring at Bearn in strange, undulating grimace drawn back across his face. He clears his throat.
Where's your mother now? Got a lot of catching up to do.
So I wonder if now Eder doesn't actually think Bearn is his son or not. I guess he still could be. This man who he said was his father could have just been someone else who helped Alava raise him.
My mother is with Aethys.
There's a trace of a smile that seems to come with the last word. Eder appears confused. Meaning what exactly?
She passed the veil a few years ago. A flu.
Eder's jaw slackens.
It's possible her soul has taken a new body by now, but if she was truly blessed, she marches instead beside the shining god.
The boy's hinted smile brightens, his eyes far away. Eder's face has gone scarlet beneath his farmer's tan. His nostrils pulsate with each heavy breath.
You lied to us. Said you didn't know her. Expect me to believe this now?
He takes a short step toward Bearn, who takes 2 steps backwards. Easy. He lost his mother.
Funny, you wouldn't know it to look at him.
Man, Eder, this is kind of an extreme reaction here. Eder stares the boy down, then turns away with a grunt and a not-worth-it gesture.
I'm not lying. She's buried on the other side of that hill.
He points northward.
How could she be gone?
Don't be troubled by her passing. All souls that march with Aethys receive his warmth and light.
Eder scowls. This is a weird reaction. Aethys. Eder has not seen her in years. She's been dead for years. He obviously hasn't had contact with her, but he's acting like this is someone he was really close to. I mean, I know that he kind of wanted to reconnect. He liked her, but this is kind of extreme, especially this woman's son. What do you mean march with Aethys?
Aethys has come to us twice now. Even Oblivion couldn't slow his march.
Referring to Saint Widewyn, and now with the Colossus.
We shouldn't have opposed his first coming. He meant to rally us under his banner.
Oh, I know a lot of dead deer woodens who will be relieved to hear that.
We are victims of a quarrel of gods.
And seeing what we've seen, it's hard to believe they got our best interests at heart.
Aethys forced everyone to declare themselves as ally or enemy, nothing more. Now he marches again, and we have a chance to correct our mistake.
Well, that's charitable.
So I guess Aethasians now see this form of Aethys as kind of like a, I don't want to say revenge, but I guess that's a good word, for destroying him earlier. But like gods often do, they don't really care who they destroy and if they're true followers or not. But this kid seems to think that he'll at least be saved if he is killed by Aethys.
I would like to have joined him when he passed this way, but I was weak. It won't happen again.
You seem confident in a god who's causing a lot of destruction.
You can't build on broken foundations. Real change needs destruction. I trust my God knows better than I do. He knows truths I'll never learn.
And got that right.
I was once lost. I struggled as you do now. But the Partisans of the Lighted Path have restored my faith in Aethys.
At this, Eder looks up at Bearn. The Partisans of the Lighted Path.
What greater honor than to march in his vanguard?
Who are the Partisans of the Lighted Path?
We began as children of the Dawnstars, separated from each other as we questioned our purpose.
That's where Shodi belongs to the Children of the Dawnstars.
But then Aethys granted a vision to Gaderian Bosc. Bosc saw an illuminated path lighten the way through a black abyss.
Gaderian Bosc, I believe, is the person in the last game. The opening area, Gilded Vale, was ruled by someone named Lord Radric, who was a despot. We killed him and put Gaderian Bosc in charge, or Bosc. I believe that was actually him. And I guess he was an Aethasian, which is kind of weird, because he was a Deer Wooden. But maybe it was he was put in charge there, and because he was at least partially upset with how Aethasians were being treated.
And he saw Aethys marching on the path, and Aethys bade him to march alongside.
Not quite how I've been seeing it.
Sorry if you heard that.
Everyone's open to their own interpretations.
Shodi just said, not quite how I've been seeing it, but everyone's open to their own interpretations. I knocked over a coffee mug and then spoke over what she was saying, so I apologize.
And the Shining God told Gaderian Bosc to gather an army of the god's truest followers, and to prepare to lead it into battle.
You'd think after getting blown up, he'd slow down on the battling.
So let's see. Why'd you lie to us about knowing Alava?
Gaderian Bosc warned us. Those outside the Partisans may ridicule us and test our faith.
Can't help but roll my eyes when people start talking in religious tones like this, whether it's in a game or in real life.
Especially our old families, and others close to them.
Maybe delete that last thing that I said.
We've learned it's best to keep to ourselves and those with open minds, which relations and friends mostly aren't.
So it seems like this order is doing something that I think is, if not common among religions, at least definitely something that has been practiced, where you isolate yourself from others because they test you by having other ideas, so you're not even supposed to be exposed to other ideas. And I know that there are a lot of people that treat other ideas as some kind of hearsay, if you are especially religious. I'm not saying that religious people are always like this. I am just saying that there is a certain amount of religious people that take things very seriously and think that their way is the one true way, and they need to make sure everybody else knows that way too. And if you think differently, then you aren't worth breath, basically. And it seems like this kid has been convinced of that by this Bosc guy. Has this Bosc shown proof of his visions?
Aethys himself has appeared in Deadfire in the form Gaderian Bosc foretold. That's more proof than any of his faithful could ever ask. What fortune to be given this opportunity, to know our God in the living world.
How will you join Aethys when he marches beneath the sea?
It'll be a great journey, but we're prepared. Gaderian Bosc knows the way.
Who does Aethys intend to battle?
We don't know. The end of the path hasn't been revealed to Gaderian Bosc yet. But to the faithful, shouldn't matter.
This Gaderian Bosc guy seems more cultish than anything else. Eder, did you get what you needed here? Eder takes a deep breath. He looks around, then at Bearn. He nods, tight-lipped.
We can go.
We'll be going.
Hey, kid. What was your name again?
Bearn.
Right. This lighted path fellow, Bosc. Sounds interesting. There's some way I can meet him?
He's usually on the move, rallying followers. But the partisans of the lighted path often gather in the temple of Aethys in Neketaka. I am soon to go there myself, in fact. There's an adherent there, Ogne, who initiates new partisans. No doubt she'd be pleased to help you. Aethys needs able soldiers, even in their elder years.
Eder spits.
You should consider what Ogne has to say. It might speak to you. Farewell.
Okay. So it says we met Alava's son Bearn and learned that Alava passed away some time ago. He seems to have fallen in with Dawnstar sect called the Partisans of the Lighted Path, led by a man named Gaderian Bosc, who have some unusual militaristic views about Aethys' passage through Deadfire. Despite the news of Alava, Eder seems concerned now for her son and wants to investigate this sect. Bearn referred us to a woman named Ogne in the Temple of Gon in Neketaka, who recruits new members to the Lighted Path. So maybe this Bosc guy is not the same Bosc as the as in the first game. Maybe I'm getting that name wrong, but I swear that was right. Okay, I think that's everything here. Whoa. It's an army of Royal Deadfire ships. Let's see what happens. Hasongo is a mound of wreckage on the horizon when you see a dozen junks sailing toward you. Even at this distance, you can tell they're making good speed. One of the ships pulls up alongside yours, and a well-dressed Almaua man approaches the edge of the deck. You recognize Atsura, the Grand Secretary of the Royal Deadfire Company. It is good to see you again. I see you continue to leave your mark. He's gazing toward Hasongo with a peculiar smile. The Adra beacon, visible even here, shines brightly. Though it surprises me to say you are still a stranger to many in Neketaka, I suspect that will soon change. What is this about? I want to extend the thanks of the Royal Deadfire Company for what you've done here. He raises one hand toward the Adra beacon. You've restored a valuable asset. Whether or not it was your intention, he gives you a quick, sly smile. So we just got a new quest to go to the palace at Serpent's Crown in Neketaka. The others at the palace will want to hear of this, no doubt, and you may well take credit while the deed is fresh. I need to reach the Ashen Maw in Magrin's Teeth. It's as though a cold wind has blown over the deck. At the mention of Magrin's Teeth, the Rawatayan sailors stare at you in shock and horror. Those who are not frozen with their mouths agape are whispering fearfully amongst themselves. Atsura silences them with an unreadable glare. He turns back to you with a brittle smile that does not reach his eyes. Forgive my compatriots, Magrin's Teeth is a volcanic chain along the northeastern edge of the Deadfire. It is also amongst the most treacherous places in the archipelago. He casts a glance back at the anxious soldiers. So, we were right, sounds dangerous. The waters around it are patrolled by giants said to be born of Magren's own volcanoes. Even our well-armed ships do not venture there. He tilts his head in apology. But I suspect Queen Onekaza could direct you to the Ashen Maw if you're set on going there. All the more reason to visit her palace. He smiles cryptically. At any rate, I have much to attend to, and it seems you do as well. Clear skies, Captain Bjarter. Atsura nods as his crew makes ready to sail once more.
Partisans never said a hard word as we sail all our troubles away. Hold fast to the helm, hold fast to the wind. Heave-ho, excelente. Hundreds grace, for we'll all be swim as we sail down the Deadfire way. We've gone a long way, left our loves behind. Heave-ho, excelente. It caused me a sorrow most unkind.
You blink and find yourself standing in the knee-high grass of an endless field, with the day just falling into dusk. Then, the earth falls away. The wind ceases, and you are sent tumbling up into the dark of the sky.
Watcher.
The voice of the Pallid Knight shakes the earth at your feet.
I wonder... It says this is a result of the choices you made in the Pillars of Eternity 1. I wonder if we would have seen a different god if we had sided with a different god at the end of that game. This is Bareth.
You have returned to Bareth's realm. Your soul once more called to attend the wishes of the god of death.
I'm just gonna say nothing.
Once again, you have spoken with the Child of Light. Tell me what you have learned.
He makes for Magren's teeth.
Intriguing.
The Pallid
Knight stares past you, pensive.
Sorry, I forgot the narrator was here.
While attend, tell me what your many eyes perceive.
Her words ring out, and a heavy silence descends.
Wall is the god of secrets, revelations, illusions, cryptography, obfuscation, perception, dreams, and visions. Wall is, in and of itself, a mystery with no consistent form or gender. Its followers revel in the acts of creating and unraveling mysteries.
In the silence breaks the murmur of countless voices. They speak all at once in languages both known and unknown to you.
Alright, so we have here on the far left Andra with the fish head. Then we have Galawain surrounded by a wolf and a Stelgar, a creature from this world, kind of like a saber-toothed cat. Then we have who I believe is Wall, this glob of eyes in the back here. Abaddon, who is looking very Santa Claus-like, but with a metal skull and some armor on. And then finally on the far right we have Remergon, the Aurochs.
In the space beside Bareth, an eye blinks open, followed fast by several more. They are round, keen eyes of Kith, the slit eyes of snakes, the small, dark marbles of birds, the bulbous lanterns of deep-sea fish.
Here we are.
A figure walks through the cloud of eyes as one might step through a door. It is an Orlan, then a pale elf, an ocean human, a Naga. Each of them eyeless.
So Wall kind of refuses to take a form.
They are Wal.
And I do just have to say, this depiction of Wall does not scream mystery to me. It looks kind of silly.
This is the first interesting thing to happen in ages, and we do so love a riddle.
The figure wears an Amawa's grin, and the many voices beneath its own titter.
Yes, it's so interesting when hundreds of Kith die so Aethys can take a stroll.
Some things must be lost to be found again. You knew that once, when you buried my scroll beneath the earth in Black Meadow. But it seems you have forgotten.
Couple things here. In the first game, there was a quest where we had to recover a scroll of wall from someone who had stolen it, and rather than return it to the library, is it the Library of Wall? I don't remember. But rather than return it to the person who sent us on the quest, Wall intervened and said, now hide it somewhere else. So we hid it, I believe, in like a dragon skull or something. But also, Wall here is saying that because I knew that, because I thought it was okay to lose a scroll to maybe someday be found again, that's the same thing as a whole bunch of people dying for an unknown purpose. I guess to Wall, that's the same thing, but that is not the same thing to me.
We have read the book of your life, Watcher. It is heavy with the weight of your choices, and its pages are not unmarred by the blood of others. You read, but on a smaller scale. We see between the strings of the world, and Eothas is there, strumming them like a lute. His tongue is still, yet he sings of a coming joy. What tune he plays, we do not know. It is complex, ever-shifting. One moment vibrating in harmony, the next in discord.
A man strides through the door to Berith's realm. Behind him lope wolves with lolling tongues, and jungle cats whose long tails twitch with every step. Galawain, the changeling, arrives, and he brings with him the wild heart of Eora's untamed places.
Galawain is the god of the hunt, assassins, pursuit, wilderness, and predatory creatures, sometimes thought to take the form of fur-clad hunter or of a great hound. Galawain favors the survival of the strong and the culling of the weak.
Fast on Galawain's heels, a small wave of seawater washes across the tiles. It pours off the edge of the platform and cascades down into the beyond. From out of the water rears a glowing lure, then the head of a gigantic fish. The round black eyes of Andra roll to meet yours.
Eothas is nothing if not resourceful. I admire his nerve.
That's Galawain.
In the changeling's voice, you hear the soft patter of rain on leaves and the rush of wind through treetops.
Say nothing.
If his journey leads him back to us, he has proved himself worthy of return to the fold.
Eothas does not return to us. He returns to execute some grand plan. We must stop him.
Andra's voice rises like a tide, panic riding its crest. The doors lining the walls of Berith's realm slam open in unison. Warped pieces of ancient armor and the remnants of discarded weapons roar through the doorways. They meet in the center of the room, in a shower of sparks, and form the vague figure of a man. Finally, a blacksmith's sledge hurtles past your shoulder, and the figure snatches it from the air. A man made half of metal and half of ruined skin stands before you. The rounded metal of a well-worn shield makes up most of his skull, his right eye socket, and jaw. His mouth is pulled forever into a half-grimace.
This is Abaddon.
If Eothas has something foolish planned, perhaps we can turn him from that path and set him down a more productive one.
Abaddon's words crash and screech together, like long steel gears forced to movement for the first time in centuries.
Abaddon is the god of golems, machines, industry, strength, hope, and aspiration, favored most commonly upon the laboring class. The golem is thought to have once been able to take a human-resembling form, as most of the other gods are, but then been somehow killed, only to forge himself back into existence inside the shell of an immense golem. Various accounts of his death exist, and none is considered definitive. I believe we saw the definitive death of him in the White March expansion of the first game, where Andra, over here on the left, sent a moon crashing down to Eora, Abaddon shattered it, but he died himself in so doing. Eventually, like gods do, he did come back to life, but I think that that's actually what happened. It's just that the people of Eora don't all know that. We saw his bones in the White March. Also, I want to say this kind of makes sense for him, where he says he's not opposed to what Aethys is doing. He just wants to know that there is something productive about it. There is an end goal, and that's a very Abaddon thing to say.
Abaddon speaks with a child's naivety.
Say nothing.
He violates not their realms, but mine. I feel his urgency in every stamp of his feet along my spine. I will send tsunamis to slow him, if Mogren would stir the earth beneath Mogren's teeth.
The water at your feet recedes. Lava oozes up through the shallow water, and a woman made from the guts of the earth emerges. She settles her characteristic broadsword on her shoulder and sighs a cloud of smoke and ash. Mogren returns.
Mogren wasn't in that group before, but here she is now. Mogren, goddess of war, fire, transformation, purification, consumption, and trials, patron goddess of the Deerwood, thought to have blessed the Godhammer bomb that destroyed Widewind and possibly Aethys.
In the age when our steps carved valleys across the face of Eora, our bodies were impervious to all but the strongest attacks. I doubt fire and water will be enough to stop him.
So they were physical beings at one point. They were all titans. I believe I've said that before, but just wanted to make sure that was clear.
But I will bear down upon Aethys with all the heat and fury of the earth. If I must.
There must be another way to stop him.
The death of thousands now could prevent the death of millions later.
But you don't know if you'll save millions. You might kill thousands for nothing.
Dark, inky tears fall from Andra's eyes.
Sacrifices of the few protect the futures of the many. You cannot let your petty, mortal feelings blind you to the urgency of the dilemma Aethys has thrust upon us.
Funny how it's always Kith who must make the sacrifices, never you.
You will mind upon whose ground you tread.
The Pallid Knight watches you with keen, predatory eyes. The deep, bellowing cry of an aurochs shakes the ground beneath your feet. The cry drones on and on, a moan without end. Wal's many eyes squeeze shut. Andra slips back beneath her waves. Mogren dissipates in a swirling cloud of steam. Galawain's beasts cower and whine. Only the Pallid Knight stands impassive.
My end comes to all things in time. Should Aethys care to hasten the inevitable, I welcome his efforts.
This is Remergand, and he's always going to be for the ends of things. What could Aethys possibly gain by destroying Eora?
Aethys seeks a slate wiped clean. Freedom from the endless revolutions of Barath's wheel. The final emancipation of the countless stolen mortal lives the gods hoard within themselves.
In the first game, Remergand wanted us to destroy the souls that had abandoned their bodies during the Hollowborn crisis. He is the god of entropy.
The Child of Light will not choose the hour of my death.
Mogren tests the edge of her broadsword with a smoldering finger.
He sows chaos in his longing for a radiant dawn. So much will be lost in the cacophony of fear his actions inspire.
The crack of thunder rends the air. The gods fall silent.
We can wait no longer to act. Speak with him, Watcher. Discover what it is he plans.
Say nothing.
Water begins to creep across the floor. It swells, runs swiftly, and catches at your ankles. You scrabble at the tiles, but it's no use. The current's pull drags you off the edge of Bareth's realm, and into the fathomless beyond. You splash down in water so dark you can't see the bottom. Then, the water recedes, gone like a dream upon waking. The hard wood of your cabin's floor presses against your spine. The gods are gone, but you remain.
A colorful parrot alights on the railing of your ship. A missive bound to its leg bears the sigil of the Kahanga tribe. I'm going to read it right now. Queen Onekaza's missive. Captain Bjarter, it would be my honor to host the savior of Hasongo at the Kahanga Palace. Nekataka is a city for Huana and outsiders alike, and there is no shortage of work for Kith who are determined to be as useful as you. Should you have the stamina for a good climb, the palace atop Serpent's Crown could be your second home. Think on it. Regards, Queen Onekaza II. It's weird that we got that, because we were just also told by Captain Atsura to head there. Yet another conversation with the gods in which we don't really know what they're planning or what they want or anything. They basically just bicker with each other. If we don't already know the characteristics of each god, then they could be helpful because they do give us a little insight into what they value and those kinds of things. But really, the only thing we're learning from these conversations with the gods is that they want to know what Aethys is up to, and if we voice any kind of concern, then they just tell us to shut up. So, okay, let's see. Let's talk to the steward, see if she has anything to say. Nope. Guess I can't talk to her.
Certainly.
There's a lot of people down here. You guys can go up top.
Captain, a word?
I think that was Maia, who we haven't talked to yet, so let's go talk to her.
I should come clean about something, Captain.
Maia scratches the back of her head, sighing. Maia is an Almao woman who works with the Royal Deadfire Company. When we first started talking to them, she joined our party, but we haven't actually used her in our party yet. Speak your mind.
Atsura didn't set me loose just so I could stay busy. Fact of the matter is, he gave me a job to do. I've got this stack of missives I need to deliver. Noble errand, right?
She shows you a small collection of scrolls in her pack, all judiciously sealed with the sigil of the Royal Deadfire Company. This says, this tightly bound set of scroll cases bear the mark of the Royal Deadfire Company, so nothing really there.
The company has a lot of people working away from headquarters, and Atsura trusted me to get these in the right hands. I hope that isn't a problem.
Aren't you a little overqualified for courier work?
Watch out, Ishi. We've got a charmer on our hands.
Maia plays at whispering to her bird, though she wears a knowing smile.
That's the thing about Atsura. He keeps so many irons in the fire at once that everything seems like a high priority.
What's in these missives?
A bit of everything. Shipping manifests, requisitions for supplies, work orders. Mostly work orders. You wouldn't believe how much paperwork it takes to run a navy.
Anything else I should know about this job of yours? Reaching back to tighten her bun, Maia takes a moment to consider your question.
Don't take it personally if I'm vague on some of the details. Atsura likes his discretion, even when it comes to boring bureaucratic stuff.
As long as it's nothing I should worry about.
The second that I need you to worry, you'll know. Count on it.
She closes one eye and makes a friendly trigger-pulling motion at you.
This one's bound for Harama, an acquaintance. Good sailor. He's somewhere off in Tikawara.
We've already been there.
And these are for Tuaha, an old friend stationed in Port Maje. You meet some strange types in the Navy.
Let's be off. Alright, so that would be Maia's quest. Oh, here it is. So after we got accosted by the gods, or before we got accosted by the gods, we were on our way to Nekataka. Let's get this first. Okay, so let's first go to the Sacred Stair, to the Temple of Gon, to check up on Bearn's little cult that he's involved with there. There's Ogne, we need to talk to, and that's it. The woman's unceasing smile and direct violating gaze give the strong impression of someone selling something.
Light of Aethys be upon you.
Bearn said you could tell us about the Partisans of the Lighted Path.
Your friend guided you truly. Gaderian Bosc has honored me with the duty of helping his message reach all of the faithful. We answer the Shining God's call. He shows us the way and we march in his wake. Already the Vanguard prepares to make its journey, with more soon to follow.
Who are the Vanguard?
Gaderian Bosc leads the Vanguard. They are the most righteous of the Partisans.
The way they talk about Gaderian Bosc, the way they say his name is very disturbing to me. Like he's messy, like a messianic figure. And that's always dangerous.
They will be the first to join the ranks of Aethys, the first to charge at his call.
Eder leans in towards you.
Bearn said something about the Vanguard. You don't think he's that dumb, do you?
A worry there that Bearn joined the Vanguard, which means he'll be on the front lines. Ogne's eyes shift momentarily to Eder, then back to you. She says nothing, merely re-raising her smile. How would you join up with Aethys? Chase him in a boat?
Yes, in fact. We will follow him along the lighted path. When the time is right, he will welcome our souls into his legion. Gaderian Bosc has seen it.
Just your souls, then? Not your bodies?
Do you have a list of people in the Vanguard? We want to see if our friend is among them.
The Vanguard know their own, and Gaderian Bosc knows them. Beyond that, we keep such information private.
Eder turns his head away to hide the look of exasperation, but then it shifts, his eyes suddenly hopeful. He looks back at Ogne.
If they know their own, what do you think they'd say to a couple new members? Can we be in the Vanguard too?
I'm afraid you cannot. The Vanguard is reserved for the most faithful among us. You have not even joined the Partisans.
So it looks like we are short of a bunch of things here. We are short on, I think that's bluff. Yep. We are short on diplomacy, which is kind of surprising. I thought I would have enough diplomacy. Oh, that's not our character. That's an actual skill diplomacy. Religion, and we are not a priest of Aethys. There must be some way, there must be something we can do to change your mind.
It is no longer in my power to help you into the Vanguard. We would still welcome you as a partisan.
Listen, we didn't come for that. There's somebody in the Vanguard that doesn't belong there. He's young and he lost his mother. He's not thinking real well. We just want to get him back home. Can you tell us where they'd be?
Your friend has embraced the call of his god. He is of rare faith to have requested entry into our vanguard. Perhaps he is not the one in need of saving.
Eder rakes a hand down over his face as though to forcibly keep it composed. He looks at you.
This is going nowhere. Come on, let's get out of here. I'll think of something.
Your journey sounds dangerous.
The Shining God demands total commitment from his followers. What good is a soldier who is not willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for her cause? To walk the lighted path, one must be willing to never turn back.
Tough to walk very far without a soul. The Hollowborn, huh? Usually you'd have to stack him in a wheelbarrow and push him around.
Meaning that if they get too close to Aethys, he's just going to take their souls from them. Farewell. Ogne nods, her expression no different than it was when you arrived.
Excuse me.
So, yeah, that's, I don't know. I got this really, like, sick feeling in the pit of my stomach when she was talking, and every time she says Gaderian Bosc, I don't know, just very, ominous. Aloth wants to talk to us.
Great and terrible things are at work. And once again, you seem to be in the middle of it.
Aloth is twisting the edge of his sash between his hands, a purposeful frown on his face.
The Rawatayans we passed will doubtless spread word of what you've done in Hasongo. But others will want to know what you've seen. They'll look to you for answers.
He watches you uncertainly, his brow furrowed. I have to report truthfully.
You make it sound so simple.
He spreads his hands in exasperation.
Don't you worry what will come next? What events you might move forward?
What's this really about, Aloth? He sighs through his nose, his lips pressed together.
It reminds me of the question that drew me to the Deadfire. The one I've been avoiding.
He rubs the back of his neck.
I promised to tell you what I was doing among the Animancers at Port Marge. As you may have guessed, I was observing them, gathering information on the various Animancy operations in the region.
I thought you were looking for a particular Leaden Key group.
Yes, and how better to draw them out. Animancy is a subject of particular interest to the Leaden Key. Through it, I hope to pick up the trail.
A spark of pleasure gleams in his eye. Seems like a pretty vague plan.
Merely a first step.
Still, his ears redden.
After that incident in Old Valia, I thought more about the Leaden Key and its particular composition.
Go on.
It's existed for over 2,000 years. Say what you will about its motives and methods, but that's an impressive tenure.
He clasps his hands behind his back and begins pacing. Real quick, the Leaden Key is a cult, another one, led by Theos Ix Arcanon, who was the antagonist of the first game. He was dedicated to Woodica, who had brought his soul back countless times and awakened it. Basically, he was the same person for thousands of years. Different bodies, but the same person for thousands of years. And Aloth was actually a member of this Leaden Key at some point before he became disillusioned with them and seeked to destroy them. And then after the events of the first game, he has doubled down on his desire to see them fall. And here he's saying, say what you will about its motives and methods, but that's an impressive tenure, which I guess is true, but also remember that they had a little bit of an unfair advantage because they were able to have the exact same leader for thousands of years, since Woodica kept bringing Theos back.
I hope you got a while, because I got lots to say about their motives and methods.
Relax, Eder. I'm not defending them.
He turns back to you.
That's when I realized how short-sighted I'd been. To think I could undo the Leaden Key without understanding how it works.
Just gonna listen to him.
I found references to an ancient leaden key cabal in the Deadfire. Possibly one of the oldest, if accounts are credible. And they appear to have been working independently, without direct intervention from Theos, for almost 2 millennia.
He watches you eagerly, waiting for that to sink in. So you think that by observing them, you can learn how the leaden key works.
And how to destroy it, yes. Most sources refer to them as the Painted Masks. But I haven't met anyone here who knows that name. I don't know where in the Deadfire they are exactly, but I was hoping we could look for them together.
He folds his hands, looking hopeful and a little sheepish. I don't want to promise the impossible. There's not much to go on, but we will try.
That's all I ask.
He bows his head. Alright, so now we have Aloth's character quests. Okay, where to next? I guess we'll go to Kahanga Palace. Queen Onekaza heard about what we did in Hasongo and wanted to see us. The Royal Deadfire Company told us that, so I think that's where we'll head to next. Should probably have some quests.
No! Tengalohou will eat me!
Serpent's Crown. We also have to go back to Pariki's Overlook to get back those gloves. So let's just go to the rooftop at Kahanga Palace. Oh, a familiar voice calls out to you.
Hold a moment. You asked about joining the Vanguard.
Okay.
I may have misspoken before. There may yet be a way for you to join them. In good conscience, the Partisans cannot allow faithless outsiders to try and corrupt our members. Therefore, it is better we do not permit you to leave at all. Say a...
She got cut off there. She said, say a prayer to the Shining God and you may be a part of his vanguard yet. Okay, so they are attacking us now. We have a partisan, Ogne, and then a partisan.
Stand together!
Why is Bearn in the front? Oh, because we went to the ship. Going to... see if I can dominate Ogne.
I need to try something.
Yes.
Had a hunch they might be idiots. Just didn't know how big. Bearn, he's gonna be getting on that ship from what it sounded like.
Okay, so they said we could join the Vanguard by dying, which means that's how you join the Vanguard, I guess? This is a crumpled itinerary, and it's a quest item. Ogne of the Partisans of the Lighted Path has been carrying these documents on her person. One page appears to be a ship's itinerary with a list of ports and dates. Hasongo and Nekataka are the last 2 ports listed. If the dates are correct, the ship would most recently have arrived in Nekataka. However, the itinerary does not specify a departure date for that entry. There's no telling if the ship has left port yet. The second page is a list of names. Bearn does not appear on it. Oh, Bearn does appear on it about halfway down, with no surname listed. There is also a cargo list, noting which cargo is to be picked up at each port. Food and drink accounted account for most of the items being loaded at Nekataka, but one item stands apart as having no obvious place among the rest. Venom, a Darren tree viper. Its quantity is listed in terms of files and calls for several dozen. Finally, there is a map that appears to have charted places where Aethys has been sighted on the islands. A list has been drawn that connects the points. It projects his course northward beyond his most recent appearance, and a point along the trajectory has been marked with an X. So it seems Gaderian Bosc is a Jim Jones type character. This tree viper, it seems like he's going to have his people drink it as a way to become closer to Aethys. We have to get there before it departs. So right now, the ship is in Nekataka. Here's a book, Against Aesthetics, or An Examination of the Motivations of Storytellers, Poets, and Other Con Artists. Okay, so this person already thinks of storytellers and poets as con artists. An excerpt from a walking tome, several inches thick, penned by one Regenfar Carnot, who warns his readers against the negative consequences of consuming fiction. If there exist lands beyond the churning tempest of Andra's mortar, none have lived to tell about them. Yet rumors persist in sailor tales and merchant fables of a storm-lashed continent where dust and sand drift high as mountains and crawl across the land like a searing river. Horses are said to run wild there, ridden by a fire-haired people who stand 10, sometimes 20 feet tall, and whose voices boom as loudly as calving glaciers across their great sand sea. The stories say they do not fight amongst themselves, but raise their voices only in greeting, so mollified are they by the careful attentions of the gods, who dote upon them above all others. What are we to make of such stories? They are nonsense, of course, tall tales spun to delight the simple minds of children and sailors alike. Indeed, tales such as this one and others of its ilk tell us more about ourselves than they do a mythical people on a mythical land halfway across the world. We dream of sand because we are awash in water, hemmed in on every side. We long for peaceful giants because we feel ourselves small and so little more than discord between us. We say, wistfully, that they are beloved of the gods because they do not feel the loving touch of the gods upon our own heads. So we must then seek comfort in the knowledge that it is only because they love another of their children more that they ignore us. I gotta read that last paragraph again. Okay, so this is written, I guess, by somebody from the Deadfire, who says that the stories we tell are basically just wish fulfillment. We dream of sand because we're awash in water. We long for peaceful giants because we feel ourselves small and so little more than discord between us. And they say that they are beloved of gods because we do not feel the loving touch of gods on our own head. So in other words, these stories that we tell, especially about what exists beyond Andra's mortar here, and we have heard tell of a story that says what is beyond Andra's mortar. I wish I could remember the name of it, but it talked about the mythical city of Ukaizo. And so this guy here says not to place stock in any of those stories. People who tell them are con artists. All right, that's it.
Absolutely.
I guess I make as good a target as any.
So now we have something else to do, which is the lighted path here. Let's go to Queen's Birth first before we go to the castle. Gotta save real quick. You see a billowing cloud of smoke behind the houses ahead of you. In the higher reaches of Nekataka, slanting shanties and buildings of foreign design fall away to be replaced by colorful open homes with wide wooden doors boasting intricate reliefs. Rather than pester you for a bit of coin or a bite of food, the children here try to sell you tickets to a play or extol the benefits of the public baths. You turn a corner and plunge into commotion. One of the great homes crackles before you, completely ablaze. Most of the Huana stare, enraptured by the flames, but a few cry out or run for the fire brigade. Examine the house. The archer examines it. Success. The home seems no different than others in the district, though perhaps a bit larger than average. Bright blue paint, flecked with white accents peels over the sturdy stone where it hasn't already been blackened by the fires. The large front doors are open, coughing smoke into the streets, and you think you can make out shadowy movement within. Fresh torches lie in the eaves above. It seems this was the work of arsonists. Freeze ability. Put out the torches with frost magic. Shodi has an iconic projection. Shodi chants and you feel the balmy tropical air plunge into coolness. The powerful blast of cold extinguishes the torches, leaving a slick coat of rime on the eaves around them, but the flames have already spread into the depths of the home. You got minor positive reputation for that, so let's enter the house. You plunge through the open doors, an arm raised protectively over your mouth. Smoke surrounds you, and the heat plucks at your skin, curling your hair. Then, you see the bodies. Sprawled out in the main room are 3 corpses. 2 lie on the floor, wounds from small thin blades still oozing blood. A third is draped over a long low chair, her body punctuated by crossbow bolts. Let's investigate for clues. Success. A faint trail of bloody footprints mark a path towards the back of the house. Let's search for the presence of spirits. I wonder if that's the right choice. Well, let's see. You open your watcher senses, seeking the presence of spirits. You feel pain buffeting you, the stabbing agony of blades biting into your skin, the heavy strikes of crossbow bolts. You hear footsteps, the gullet bastards who killed you, fleeing through the door. The essence of the spirits roils dangerously, fed by the physical flames and feeding them in return. Let's pursue the arsonists. You burst through the back door into an almost abandoned street. A group of ragged kith holding torches are the only people present. You note one of them holds a bulging sack stained with blood. One of the kith, a broad-shouldered human in a tight-fitting mask, scowls. Got ourselves a hero, seems. Sadly for you, the boss were clear, leaving no witnesses. Grinning, the thugs draw their weapons. I wonder if we can actually, I don't think we'll be able to do this, but let's give it a try. The boss sent me to make sure you idiots didn't stand around gawking at the bonfire. Yeah, I didn't think so. A heavily built Hamawa who had hung back uncrossed his thick arms. We're not the idiots. You're the idiot. Idiot. Kill them all, the masked man says. The arsonists advance. Okay, so what do we got here? Thug, brawler, pyromancer, cutthroat. Let's go after this pyromancer.
Death is the true atonement.
I'll naked us both!
Oh, damn it. I wasn't paying attention to Aloth. Where are all these blights coming from?
How could I miss that battle?
Is this from the house that's on fire? Dominated.
Indeed.
Wow, so that was quite the little excursion. They have a lot of jewels on them, some money, decent weapons. We have an adventurer's grimoire. Let's see. Do they have some kind of orders or something? Doesn't look like it. Huh. I just saw Queen Onekaza's missive. Did I? Yes, I did read that. So
I'd be glad to.
Can't find anything out about who these people were, why they wanted to kill the people of this house, why they burnt it down. It's unfortunate. Nope. Oh. Okay. Oh well. See if we can make it to Queen's birth. Alright, so we gotta go see if we can find this ship.
We missed it. They're gonna park that thing next to Aethys and slit their own throats. I wish they'd gone ahead with it before they got Bearn involved. If we can't catch it, can you promise me we'll go right now?
Yeah, we'll go right now.
I knew there was something I liked about you.
Okay. Sell some things here. Okay. See if I see. That's Gaderian Bosc right there. All right. A gift from Aethys. Glorious death is our path to him. Are we just going to get right in the fight? Yep, looks like it.
I'm sorry, I can't.
I need something stronger.
There's a walloping.
I've had to look
Man, I was almost finished.
Beyond sick.
Mo Ixie Ona.
Gaderian Bosc here.
Of course.
Oh, we all leveled up. Alright, so once again, I will go through my level up choices on camera and put a timestamp on screen for when I'm done if you don't want to see all that. Pallegina first. Now let's keep going with Diplomacy and Arcana. So I get to choose abilities for both classes here. So first, Chanter. Could summon some ogres. Alright, so this is an upgrade to the Phantom Summoning I've already been doing, so I'll give her that. Paladin. I'll give her resistant to Confused Charm Dominated. There's next. Survival and Athletics. I could... Oh, I lower recovery penalty for armor. I like that. That's what I'm going to do. Shodi. Religion and Arcana. So I could revive. Let's do this. Searing Seal places a magical seal on the floor that bursts into flame when an enemy comes into contact with it, blinding them or inflicting burn damage. Yarter. Keep going with mechanics into insight. I want to get him a new cipher spell. What's this? I'm going to stick with this. And forget. I'm looking for deception, right? Yes. Ransacks an enemy's intellect, perception for energy. So I'm going to do this one here. Ringleader imprints an insidious and powerful compulsion to obey the cipher across all enemies in the area of effect, dominating the target and charming all others. And lastly, Aloth. Metaphysics and explosives. Creates a pike of pure magical force that deals pierce damage and cause. I'll give him that one. Okay. That was Sitzel's Spirit Lance. Okay. Now we can go below deck here. I don't think that's usually something we can do when we attack a ship.
The others have drunk, Bearn. Their souls make their way to Aethys.
Yeah, so I was right. Bunch of dead people here, probably from drinking that poison. The hope, I'm guessing, was that they could die, catch up with Aethys, and be absorbed by Aethys. And this here is Gaderian Bosc.
This isn't the time for hesitation. It's the time for faith. Come, let us show him together.
The man uncorks a vial hanging from his neck filled with a viscous fluid of earthy red. He raises it and waits. With unsteady hands, Bearn uncorks an identical vial hanging from his own neck.
No, 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 kid!
Eder has stepped forward. His palms are outstretched. Bearn nearly drops the vial. He catches awkward hold of it between his forefingers. His gaze drifts up to Eder. He stares with dull eyes, as if he's trying to place him.
What is this? You aren't one of my flock. How did you get here?
I'm surprised that a huge fight could happen above deck and they wouldn't know down here. Eder ignores Bosc, keeping careful eye contact with Bearn.
Lower that. Let's talk.
Bearn waits, the vial now clutched in one hand at chest height. You have doubts about this. You're questioning, just like your mother must have taught.
Your mom knew how to spot a fake. What do you think she'd say about him?
Eder nods towards Bosc.
How could I know? She left me here.
The vial in Bearn's hands hovers now just above waist height.
What is faith if it isn't tested? These people are willed here by Aethys to challenge you. Make him proud.
I will make him proud.
It sounds almost like a recitation. Eder's mouth is open, but he has no answer. He looks to you, desperation in his eyes. Your soul won't pass to Aethys. It will pass into Adra and through the core of the world. I can say that because of my metaphysics.
You can trust a Watcher to know something about that. You won't get a choice with his.
But surely a god can claim my soul when it draws near.
Bearn's hand lowers. It hangs at his right side, the vial dangling.
Aethys has come just as I said he would. There will be no other chances.
Eder fumes at Bosc, his hand drifting toward his weapon.
He must be in need to reach out to us.
Effigy's eyes, kid. You think your tiny soul's gonna change his fate?
Eder is right. On the margin, the impact of a single soul would be of a single added soul would be infinitesimal. Will he care about that?
Right, that's the basic idea.
But he has called for us.
Bearn's expression shifts suddenly. He looks like someone who's been slapped hard across the face. His fingers relax and the vial clatters to the ground, spattering the deck with what might easily be mistaken for a gruesome bloodstain.
Aethys, forgive me.
Eder takes what sounds like his first breath in a while. His fingers trace over his mouth and beard in a rhythm of reassurance.
As you wish, then. Abandon your god. For betrayal, there can be no forgiveness. You will receive not his mercy, but his justice.
All acts can be forgiven by a truly benevolent soul.
Don't you got somewhere you need to be, Bosc? If you're having second thoughts, I can help you follow through.
Not a one.
Bosc smiles and raises his vial toward Eder and toast. He downs the fluid in a single gulp.
The shining god will light the way.
He barely gets the sentence out before the first spasms rack his frame. A reddish froth bubbles from his lips and he collapses to the floor, flopping and arcing like a netted fish. In one final rigid convulsion, his breath stops and his body settles heavily on the deck in an unnatural pose.
Think he's all right? He looks a little seasick.
He's got very different feelings on whether Bosc should have killed himself and Bearn. Although I guess Bosc was the guy who basically made all this happen here. If only he died before he got everyone else involved. Bearn stares silently at Gaderian Bosc, spitting bubbles and the lips of the corpse are still popping.
That would have been me. If I were stronger, it would have been me.
Lucky you weren't stronger then. The gods might have rights to our souls, but they got no right to our lives. Seems to me they'll take from you whatever's not nailed down if you let them.
I could devote my entire life to Aethys, and it would never redeem this.
Eder swallows and tries to say something. In the end, he just nods.
For right now, let's just get you home.
Okay. Return Bearn to Hasongo. Eder looks up expectantly as Bearn disembarks the Defiant without word to anyone. Bearn begins to head off, staring straight ahead with sunken eyes, and doesn't break stride when he passes Eder.
Bearn.
The boy's taken another several steps before he seems to have heard anything at all, and when he stops, he doesn't turn to face Eder at first, as though keeping his options open. A long moment passes, then, with persisting hesitation, he turns.
I'm not sure what you want to talk about. I have my life. And I know it's because of you. I know I should be thanking you. But the truth is, I don't know if I want to be here now. Or what I'm supposed to be doing. And I still don't know what to say to Aethys when I meet him one day.
It should be the other way around. He's the one who owes you an explanation.
Bearn avoids Eder's gaze.
You hear me, kid? He owes you.
Bearn gives an absent nod, still looking down, and says no more. Okay, so that quest is done. We were able to convince Bearn not to drink the poison that the other members of his sect took. He survived the ordeal, though he doesn't appear to be convinced if it was for the best. So that is nice, although I think that makes it a little bit more realistic. Someone who is that far gone into this cult/religion wouldn't be so easily convinced that he did the right thing. He was obviously afraid to die, but he sees that as a weakness. Hopefully he comes around at some point.
Not in much of a mood to talk, if you don't mind.
Sorry if you just heard a bang. Alright, I guess that's it for this. I wonder if Eder will want to speak with us at some point. Alright, back to Nekataka. As is often the case in this game, it is very difficult to get where you actually want to go. You keep getting accosted and waylaid by random encounters and other quests and those kinds of things. Alright, so first let's go to Pariki's Overlook to return the gloves. And then we'll go to Serpent's Crown.
You're back. Kue, any news?
I took care of Bertano's debt with Hamuto Stonehill.
You are willing to put up all that money?
One of her eyes narrows on you.
What of the gloves? What happened to them?
I have them right here for you. She accepts the gloves with a grateful sigh.
At least I know Arkemir won't feed me to the imps.
She folds the gloves with care and stows them away.
Take your discount as well. If the cupboard doesn't make its goals, so be it.
I need to get inside Arkemir's manor.
Imp, go hang laundry.
She holds up a finger for silence, her gaze following the shop imp as he flutters moodily away.
I'm only doing this for how you help Bertano.
She lets out a heavy sigh and slips a key from her pocket.
Here, burn Arkemir's manor down for all I care.
So we got Arkemir's manor key. This ornate key unlocks the front door of Arkemir's manor in Pariki's Overlook. The key is oddly slippery to the touch, almost feeling like it's trying to escape your grasp.
What else do you need?
Farewell. Now to Serpent's Crown.
You return intact. Nagati is not always kind to those who travel upon her domain.
Onekaza touches her brown and nods. Touches her brown? The hell is that? That crown, maybe?
A messenger from the jaws of Tangaloa speaks with the voice of wisdom and change, I say.
She raises her brows at you.
It is fitting that yours should be the voice that tells of Hasongo's fate. What did you see there?
Some Naga occupied the colony after Aethys drained the Adra. I let them live.
The snakes are on edge. Where comes this new boldness?
Onekaza thumbs her chin and narrows her eyes.
Far be it for me to complain if they make trouble for outsiders.
There's a weariness to her thoughts that she doesn't bother to hide. So she said that to us telepathically. And it seems like she's okay with the Naga making trouble for the Royal Deadfire Company and the Valiant Trading Company.
What of Aethys? If you know why he terrorizes the Deadfire, speak on.
He makes for Magrin's teeth, but I believe that's only a waypoint. Tapping her chin, Onekaza nods and weighs the matter. At length, her even expression spreads into a pleased and knowing smile.
If Aethys makes for Magrin's teeth, I say the Rathun will grind him to dust for the praise of their warrior matron.
So the Rathun would be the indigenous... I'm not going to say people. Race, I guess, of Magrin's teeth. And Magrin, because it's named Magrin's teeth, the Rethrum will grind him to dust for praise of their warrior matron. In other words, if Magrin wants them to kill Aethys, then they will try to do that.
Even if they fail, it will be an enemy cleared from my plate. This is the gratitude of Nagati, I say.
Rethun?
The fiery children of Magrin devoted to their mother with a fanatic zeal. Bothersome, but the least of my troubles now. From Port Mage to Hasongo to Magrin's Teeth, Aethys follows a rich vein of Adra. It takes him northeast to more interesting territory. In the deepest memory of the tribes, we have told stories of Magrin's Teeth. Embellished sailors' fables, Akira, but not without some truth. My people speak of treacherous seas, lakes of fire, and the ancient warriors hammered to life on Magrin's anvil.
Onekaza props her chin on her fist and looks you up and down.
Ashen Maw is the grandest and most accessible of the peaks. It is the sharpest tooth in Magrin's jaw. Prepare yourself for a fight.
Any chance of support ships to accompany the Defiant?
Akira, would that our resources were not so entangled in other parts. I cannot send ships to Magrin's Teeth any more than I would send paper dolls to a furnace.
She arches her fingers together, staring intently at the point in space where they meet.
If you make preparations in Nekataka, I say we can help each other.
She sits up straighter and regards you with a level expression.
I must keep the city's peace, and I have only so many arms and eyes. While the Deadfire screams, I would see Nekataka outlast the storm to come.
What do you need from me?
What I need is a lasting peace that will outlive my dynasty. But I will accept peace of mind for now. What do you know of my water shapers, Herald of Bereth?
Takehu seems to think they're artists.
I say he has influenced the guild in that respect.
She smiles to herself.
My water shapers are the levy holding back Rawatai's advance. An adept standing at the prow of a war canoe is enough to send the fleet scrambling for the shallows.
She eases back, languid and satisfied.
This reminds me. I owe the Hazanui a basket of koiki in remembrance of the Battle of Nekaroatl.
She snaps her fingers and nods to an attendant, who scurries off. I believe we read this already, but just the short description here of the Battle of Nekaroatl. In 2758 AI, Rawatai encroached on Hawaiian lands, and made an enemy of the Wahiki tribe. The bloody conflict came to a head at Nekaroatl, where Rawatai's warships decimated the tribal force. In the aftermath, the Huana Crown dispatched water shapers to sink Rawatai's most prized vessel, the Tenants of Iron, as a reprisal and a demonstration of power. Poking the hornet's nest about sending the basket of kuiki.
That is Aruihi's job, but Akira, there is a side of diplomacy which I enjoy.
Onekaza winks.
While the problems of Aethys and overindulgent admirals plague these waters, I have summoned the masters of water shaping to Nekataka. Now would be the time to confer with Guildmaster Mairu, but she does not answer my summons.
Do you think something's wrong?
It is too early to grow a forest from this coconut, but I would not dispatch you if I felt at ease. The guild can suffer no setbacks. If Mairu shirks her duties, her queen would know the reason.
She stares off into the distance and sighs, her gaze unfixed.
Nagati, do not abandon us now.
Onekaza turns her gaze back to you and flinches. This was not a thought she intended to share. Ooh. Okay, so we got a new quest, the Shadow under Nekataka. With matters in the Deadfire reaching a boil, Queen Onekaza's water shapers must be ready for anything. In spite of the pressures from all around, the head of the Water Shapers Guild does not answer the Queen's summons. Onekaza needs someone to find Guildmaster Mairu. So I have to go to the Water Shapers Guild to speak with Mairu. But I think that's a good stopping place for today. This is a little shorter than usual, but Shadow of the Erdtree just came out, and I'm kind of dying to get back into that game. So we will end it here. I think next time I want to explore a little bit more of Neketaka. We still have the old city down below to explore. We have Delver's Row, and we have some things to do in the Gullet. So I think now would be a good time to get through those things. But like I said, that we'll have to wait for next time. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions, clarifications, comments, those kinds of things. I'd love to hear from you, and I hope to see you next time for more Sentences and Paragraphs. Bye, everybody.